Hi, my name is Brennan Reek, and I'm going to be giving this talk on globalization and education. Now, in my viewpoint, globalization is similar to Seeger's view that unless we are willing to let global problems fester to the point where violence and intolerance appear to be the only realistic ways of confronting our unevenly integrated world, we must link the future course of globalization to a profoundly reformist agenda. Now, I would agree that we're going to see globalization go in two directions, one of populism and one of cosmopolitanism. In regards to justice globalism, I believe that this is commonly seen as human rights litigation discussions and topics, but you can bring it into the classroom. Students should be learning about the plight of Syria and what's going on in Yemen with starvation, and they should be learning alongside American history. But needless to say, justice globalism would require more of a change in the paradigm, from border politics to global politics. Now let's look into how this affects education. A culturally relevant pedagogy is a global pedagogy. Louis Moore, in his analysis of education, says that we don't activate the knowledge of non-white students. And he defines knowledge as being the ancestry, the culture, the family, the local and personal knowledge that students have. And we often never activate this, and Ladson-Billings says in her pedagogies that we should incorporate it into curriculum and make it a part of curriculum. And is this not global by recognizing every different student's of heritage, their knowledge and ancestry and where they came from, and recognizing that? It would be a very valuable thing in a global pedagogy. The Millions Learner Project even says that this is a best practice of connecting the local to the global and having their students' cultural identities affirmed. Now, this would be revolutionary, as often we deny global education to students. We deny them their cultural heritage, and we deny them affirmation. Whether it's Arizona banning Mexican American cities, principals banning Spanish, or Indian boarding schools, where assimilation was the only possible route. Now, this model goes more towards equity and empowerment, and it's closer to the Finnish model, where there's a decentralized classroom that focuses on student empowerment. What's often lost in this discussion of globalism and global education and culturally relevant pedagogy is STEM education. Now, I want to frame it in a global context, and I really see environmental science as a vessel for this. You can use science clearly to analyze it, and the United Nations does this with their experiments and investigations. Now, we can enter STEM fields with a global mindset, whether it's mathematically analyzing data of consumerism from Black Friday, or whether it's the true cost of plastic. We can look at real phenomena via science that are happening around the world. And this leads to empowerment, and students see themselves as change makers, and they have the toolkit to investigate problems in their community. Whether that be a project, a community garden, or investigating injustices via science. And that tends to be the key thing for my model of STEM education in a global context. Most globalization and multicultural education curriculums focus on humanities, and they never really discuss how to tie science into justice globalism, and I think an environmental justice theme is just what we need to fulfill this. This unit is rigorous, but it has a low floor and high ceiling where it can be taught as young as 7th and 8th grade, or as high as AP Chemistry, AP Environmental Science, or AP Biology. The central theme is environmental science, but there's a tie-in of biology, chemistry, and environmental justice. Lesson 1, students will learn about global environmental disasters and kind of extend their global imagination beyond their backyard and see what's going on beyond their doorsteps. Lesson 2, 3, and 4, students will find a research question and really look to analyze what's going on in their local community. There's going to be emphasis on water and soil, as these are easily testable, but the emphasis is going to be that look at inequities and where in your community do you see a problem with environmental science. And then in lesson 3, they're going to start preparing their samples. We're going to ask them to bring in samples from their tap water if they have access to a water source, whether it be ocean, river, lake, and also a sample of soil from their backyard or a city park. Beyond this, we would then send them to a lab for soil testing. And then for water testing, we'll provide kits for them to test their own water for lead, pH, pollutants, nitrogen, and then we'll create a map of where in the city is there a high level of lead, where in the city is there a lot of pollution, and why is that going on? Why does the south side have more pollution than the north side? In lesson 5 and 6, students will really analyze their data and prepare a report as they're going to talk to other students around the globe with the results. And then those students will also do the same experiment and share it back to them. In lesson 6, they'll learn about the environmental issues, particularly in the area that they're going to Skype with. And that's lesson 7. They'll video conference with a school in a different country with the same experiment, share their findings, and they'll start to collaborate on what they can do about this data. They'll share ideas and areas of further research. This will try to tie in the global theme even more. And also, it makes students change makers who are solving solutions globally, cross borders. Lesson 8 tends to be the point where you could extend this into an even longer module, or just a conclusion and kind of a reflection of what we did, what it means to be global-minded in science, and how to use science towards a social justice mean, and to be a change maker in your own community and in the globe. Now, science education needs to be global. Often we pretend it's secular, that it's tucked away in this isolated code space. But we need to recognize students' differences and their cultural heritages within STEM. And environmental science and analyzing inequities via it can be a vessel for this. It's important that we change our science to be closer to this, which is similar to the Finnish system, where it's centered in empowerment and in equity. And this is not just in science. Our curriculum as a whole needs to be more culturally relevant, which results as a global curriculum, where students' ancestries, the areas of the globe that they're a part of, are recognized in the curriculum and they're affirmed. The goal should be affirmation, empowerment, and equity, not a simulation. As a result, this is my proposal for global STEM education and a global pedagogy. Thank you for listening. This has been Brian Reed.